Kana?
Well, yeah, well, I think we'll do it. Or you put it together, thank you. Well, Larry will most likely start at 30. I think before we start, I would like to share with you an interesting about
So we just said yesterday we thought it's in Sefer Devarim also. It's in two places or
no,
one?
it's 7 Berlin, it's much less.
It's different. Yes.
It's not on the 13th, right? When Moshe Rabbeinu recounts
Right.
what happened, it says, oh, everyone talks about it.
Okay.
Here the Gemara says in the beginning of what I'm reading to you now has to do with the miracle that we, if you want to say in your life, I saw a miracle yesterday, was the day.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
What got overshadowed was the terrorist attack. Nobody was talking about that. And
8 people were murdered.
yes, yeah, I mean it was.
You realize it's the first time in the history of the state that every person from north to south, everyone, the state of Israel, everyone went to hear him. Larry told me, my son told me the first time in my life. Son is in Israel now, son is in Hebrew, first time in my life. I went to a shelter.
And one of
My 2 granddaughters, the first time in their life.
and one of Joyce's like grandkids told me how he was telling me how his grand told me he was running. I guess maybe the first time all his might to his shelter. You know, the rest of them take it casually, but this time this kid was younger.
And this time everyone, Larry, good morning. I'm just reading a Gemara regarding the miracle that we witnessed yesterday. It's a famous Gemara, but I want you to pay attention to. The Gemara says in the beginning of Avodah Zarah, Masechet Avodah Zarah, Daf Bet Amud Bet. And I'm reading. Then we'll go to. The Gemara says that with the end of days, Hashem is making a public announcement. So to say, every nation that believes that they deserve to be rewarded should come and make the claim. This is very famous, but listen carefully. Amar lahem HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the Romans coming first. במה עסקתם? אומרים לפניו ריבונו של עולם, הרבה גשרים גשרנו, we built many highways, many bridges, הרבה כרכים כבשנו, we captured many cities, הרבה מלחמות עשינו. So this, we didn't open the Gemara yet, the German. So the Romans claim, we really made the world, וכולם לא עשינו אלא בשביל ישראל כדי שיתעסקו בתורה. Can you imagine? אמר להם, תשמע דבר פלא. אמר להם הקדוש ברוך הוא, כל מה שעשיתם לצורך עצמכם עשיתם. Whatever you did, defense of the bridges to collect taxes and tolls, the marketplaces to make money or to have prostitutes, whatever. תשמע דבר אחד, מלחמות, Hashem says, אני עשיתי. Why didn't Hashem answer in the same language? The wars that you did for yourself because you wanted to be imperialistic or to. The great commentator said, the Gemara is revealing us a secret. Every war in the world, אני עשיתי, which means there is a big picture.
Ani Asiti meaning Hashem?
Hashem says, Hashem didn't say any time, Ani. You accept a war. I mean, take yesterday, right? Everyone can interpret whatever you want, and 5 years from now, we say, I remember that Rosh Hashanah, you don't have Shukrei. But the reality is, for many people, Israel chose openly how vulnerable we are. So a picture of one missile that went in. You see the dish that he made, you see the destruction he made, one. Yes. Imagine 5 more would have gone in other. The answer is Hashem says, if you really believe I'm in charge of the game.
So I said these,
What about this is exactly what Baal Milchamot means.
they said these ballistic missiles would destroy neighborhoods,
They
not
really,
houses.
wow.
They said the amount that they packed
With the
in that.
power, the
Wow.
power. Yeah, nothing. 190.
What I don't understand, United Nations, they cannot set up.
Let's not go politics. Please, don't politics now with the United Nations. Come on. That's what I.
They should disband the United Nations. The whole thing is
It's not
not
English.
Who wanted to get it out? Koch wanted to get it out of New York.
Not in New York, it's just close it down.
Listen to an amazing tour before we go to the Gemara. This is the tour. The tour was written before the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch is based on the tour. He says like this, listen. This is 600 years ago. נוהגים באשכנז להתענות כולם בערב ראש השנה. שולחן ערוך אומר שזה.
We're in the tour, Rabbi Prague. Give me the number. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Tour. 581, Tav Kuf B'Yalev.
Thank you.
You listen good. Everyone is fasting today. Why? Used to, I mean, today. Usmach. No, everyone.
Rabbi, speak for yourself, Rabbi.
No, I drank before. But that's my chavuta. His parents are. His parents from Hungary. He's fasting. Thousands and thousands of people are fasting to. Listen, we should have learned it yesterday. Please listen. He says,
You were fasted today?
"Usmach laze." Where is the source for that? במדרש ראית על חומה. ולקחתם לכם ביום הראשון, right? Tomorrow is Aleph Tishrei, 3 weeks we take לולב. וכי ראשון הוא? What is ראשון? אלא בעלו 15 הוא, סוכות את ה-15, we take לולב את ה-15. אלא ראשון לחשבון עוונות. The first time Hashem starts to count our wrongdoing, why? Listen to this is the point.
What's sheet 581? Which halacha are you learning?
I'm learning the tour, not the Shulchan Aruch.
I have the tour in Aleph.
The tour Tav Kuf Pei Aleph towards the end of the Siman.
Okay.
It's approximately 15 lines. I don't know which point you're looking. Listen to the analogy he's using. משל למדינה שחייבת מס למלך. The community did not pay taxes. ולא נתנו לו, they are defiant. בא אליה בחיל גדול, the king is approaching them with a big army to punish them. Please listen carefully. התקרב אליה, as he is approaching, 10 פרסאות, יצאו גדולי המדינה לקראתו. All the dignitaries went to approach him, ואמרו לו, אין לנו מה להתאמך. Nothing to pay. הניח להם שליש. Okay, he said, you know what? I'm forgiving 1/3 of what you owe me. כיוון שנתקרב יותר, יצאו בינוני העיר לקראתו. The ordinary people came, forgave them 1/3. כשנתקרב יותר, ממש coming in, יצאו כל בני העיר לקראתו, והניח להם. Hear the analogy? The first group, in early, Hashem forgave 1/3. The second, the third, listen now to the Midrash speaking to me and you. כך המלך, זה הקדוש ברוך הוא. בני המדינה, אלו ישראל, שמסגלים עוונות כל השנה, לאור ירם, ערב ראש השנה הגדולים מתענים, מוותר להם שליש. Those who fast today started Kippur day, 1/3 goes off today. ב10 ימים בינונים, starting tomorrow till Kippur, בינונים מתענים, מוותר להם. If you look at the Shulchan Aruch, many people, ביום הכיפורים הכל מתעלים, מוותר להם הכל. Very famous. Says the Beit Yosef, I don't understand. how can today, the end of the year, if a person behaves correctly, how can you forgive a third? This is equal, realize today is equal to Yom Kippur by what? But Yosef is asking the question. Yeah. What we read is Bet Yosef. ועיקר למידע על המדרש, ואם כן, ערב ראש השנה חשוב כיום כיפור, שהרי הוא מכפר בו שליש עוונות. Right? והוא חשוב ונתיקו for all the 9 days starting tomorrow till Kippur. Right? How is it possible? What is so powerful about today? ויש לומר, בשליש ראשון קל להתכפר. Every time you go to a judge, or every time you ask for forgiveness, to take the wrongdoing from the top is easy. שליש שני קשה יותר. שליש האחרון קשה מכולם. Now, what is he saying? He's saying here something very powerful. Listen carefully. He's saying the same way that tonight the Jewish people are starting Rosh Hashanah, we eat sweets and etc. and etc. Everything in life depends on the beginning and the end. Realize? But you see it everywhere. This is why by Bechor, this is by Bechor Be'ema, Bechor Adam. Says the tool today, or last week, you can fix everything we did all year. We read Jimmy and Midrash, the Midrash says, those who fast today, used to be that everyone used to fast, basically have a kapara, the same as Kippur, a third is wiped off. But the idea is at the beginning and the end. I mean, this is a concept of philosophically concept and in physics. Everything has to be, the DNA is in the beginning. Yeah? The Gemara says in Masechet Chagiga, okay? The Gemara says in Masechet Chagiga, how is it possible that Elisha ben Avuya went so far? Elisha ben Avuya was a Tana. He says that the Brit Milah, my Brit Milah, says, I mean, there's the whole story there, yes? My father made a very big party, and everyone came and celebrated, and Rabbi Lezer and Rabbi Yeshua came and they started to learn. And as they were learning, a fire came. And I got frightened, he says, fire, don't worry about the fire. The fire is a fire from the Torah. So I said, the son said, my father said, this is the power of Torah. I'm dedicating my son to Torah. But why did he do it? Not for the sake of the Torah, but the sake of the power that is so kavod. This is why at the end, very often you see kids that come from a terrible background. It's amazing what they get, or the exact opposite. Everything begins from the roots. So today is a special day. Everyone in his own way forgot the fasting. Because not fasting anymore. Even among the Ashkenazim, those people don't fast. Those who do fast a half a day.
Well, why? Let me ask you, this is so, Emet, why though? Why did the rabbi say or establish this is a fast day across the board? I mean,
it's a thing Mishnah B'Rava, you have to do.
Right behind you.
But even when we were kids, we never, it's not like it went away. We no, the Banish High brings it down, it's word down in the books. Yeah, I'm saying, but we never, in our community, mass scale.
No, but it's
kids,
no, Jimmy, nothing to do with the Sfaradim.
No, I didn't say Sephardim.
Ashkenazim is the same. Speak to any Hasid, and this is the majority. No one has it.
yes, he's out there.
You know, look, guys, since we do believe in the book called Shulchan Aruch, we do believe sometimes whatever we want here. Siman Tav Kuf Pei Aleph Seif Bet. Tav Kuf Pei Aleph Seif Bet. Look. Shulchan Aruch says it. You have a Tav Kuf Pei Aleph. נוהגים להתענות ערב ראש השנה.
We can say this instead of my Maharanim Chobad.
It's exactly the same. The same as making Birkat Hamazon on a cup. Now, Eli, but Eli's question is a
No,
serious
you make my
question.
question stronger.
Why did,
Yeah,
why did
yeah,
it fade
yeah.
away?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
many things fade away.
No,
The
but
main
geez, I mean,
reason-
this is kind of seems fade away. I mean, the rabbis have the power. They decided not to make a big
It's a
deal out of
very-
it
it's
for
a
whatever
very-
reason.
I think
It's
the
a
key
very
word is
big
no
one.
hakim, so it's a minhag, it depends where you lived, and if it probably wasn't a minhag in Halab or, and my father never said they fasted. Did your
If
father
you
ever
want-
fast, John?
If you want just to see a little more, look at the small print further, Eli. I'm answering your question.
No hakim.
Haggah, you see Haggah?
That's a
No,
Haggadah.
but you realize, Maran didn't say the Ashkenaz. The two brings it Ashkenaz because everyone used to do it. Now, says the Haggah, the Hamedagdikim, today is not enough to fast. המדקדקים נהגו שכל אחד מתענה 10 ימים. זה נכון לעשות. Okay? Now here's the point.
Every day.
Dear Jack, I can talk about myself, but I'm taking you as a. How do you feel when you finish a day of fasting, except Kippur in general? If someone steps on your foot, you are more edgy, no?
Everything, yeah, great.
I'm hungry before dinner.
No.
No, I'm saying,
Hungry,
no, but I'm not in the mood
hungry-
when I eat.
this is the. You're not in a good mood. You see, if you get upset once today because you're fasting,
It's not worth it.
That's not worth it.
should have
Oh,
eaten
wow.
steaks all day. Which means
Yeridah b'dorot.
this is no, but this is it
That's what it is,
physically.
Yeridah b'dorot.
People used to eat much. People used to eat much less. People, they realize this is not. So this is why. No, I asked my chavruta once. But his parents were real Holocaust survivor. Says my father used to fast till chatzot. He got up this morning at 5. He ate something. He drank something, and in Chag Hadolah he's praying. No, it's a
Chatzot's 12:45.
tiny joke. No, but I'm saying, but again, I'm telling you again, we are human. We are so into, this is the real answer. The real answer is, unfortunately, the concept of the fast is out of our tshuva b'chlal. In all the time, did you ever see the it's funny? And these are very 40 days fasting. It is under 20 days. But obviously, someone did. Obviously, someone did it. The answer is, if you're not used to eat so much, it's much easier.
Easier, that's what I was gonna say, they used to eat very little anyway.
Nature also, when we were kids, we didn't have AC around the air conditioning. You can't survive without 2 minutes without AC on.
Now look a second now.
There's still rabbis that, like, they fast a lot of them Mondays and Thursdays, and I mean, Rosh Chodesh, Erev Rosh Chodesh, there's a lot of fasts.
Please fast morning till night.
Huh?
Yeah,
Morning till
daylight.
night, all morning
Now,
to night.
also,
not
Eli,
from-
remember, this time of the year, the days are much
Sure.
shorter. So it's easier. to-
Yeah, I know, when you're talking about
It's
summertime, even
not,
the
it's
morning.
not July, it's not July. No.
Even Shiva Sabbath Tammuz in the summertime is,
Look now.
in the morning, it's.
Look
it's-
now, look now.
The truth is that in Israel, the days are shorter, they don't have long days.
The Middle East in general. Now look and see if Dalit now. מחפשים ומסתפרים בערב ראש השנה, yes?
Take a shower.
מחפשים ומסתפרים, which means everyone shaves every day. If you have to take a haircut, if you come to my neighborhood, the barber shop, so I'm full, yes? מספרים, what's the idea? Look at the Mishnah Berurah, a second.
Go in.
Look at the Mishnah Berurah Chafei. This Mishnah Berurah is really based on the tomb, just so listen. להראות, Larry, now we are in Aruch, not in the tomb.
I have it.
Aleph, Mishnah Berurah 25. להראות שאנו בטוחים בחסדו יתברך, שיוציא לצדק משפטנו, which means even though personally, each one is worried, but collectively, as we saw yesterday, collectively Hashem loves us, yes? Even though everyone frightened yesterday, the point, last time when Iran attacked, they gave us before. They do yesterday much earlier. So many people into panic last time.
Yeah.
Here they waited till they really have to say. Can you imagine? Here like an hour before.
Right,
yes?
because people,
An hour before.
too much time, they get crazy.
Think for a second if you're a mother of 4, yes? your husband is at work now, and you have to, I mean, you realize
Panic.
what goes into the mind of mothers. And remember, if you are in Tel Aviv, everyone has a fancy shelter. But if you live in a community, Tzfat doesn't have any shelters.
Wow. Sfat doesn't have?
And because all the houses in Tzfat
Oh,
are very
okay.
old. See, from
But they
1990,
don't have-
this
they
is
don't
the
have-
law. You go to your basement, whatever. You don't have, no, because today you have to build.
It's part of the building.
But you understand this,
Well, they said it had to. Yeah, they
this
said it-
Stibler used to say sometimes when people came to me, my wife, myself, I was the doctor, he's suspicious. He used to say, the fear and the fright is part of
It's
the
kapara.
visit.
Oh, part of the
Can you imagine the fear into Israel yesterday?
No, we felt it here.
Right. Jack says we felt it here.
Nothing, we don't understand what that means.
And you see the videos, you see the stuff coming down, it's like, how could that, is that real? Could it be real?
My sister lives in Yerushalayim. She says they didn't stop hearing the boom. This is Yerushalayim. Imagine if you live in the north, you live in Tel Aviv or Bnei-Brak or Haifa. With the fear
People
that-
die on that sugar.
but this is part of it.
I don't know how the guy had a gun the size of this. In Yafo, I don't know how the guy got on the train. The gun was jash like this. How do you walk onto a train like that?
Yeah.
Jojo was the size. It's like a rifle, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like a semi-automatic.
It was a semi-automatic. He got off the train with it like I didn't.
So again, so as collectively as people, we know we are going to survive this type of attack. But personally, everyone, this is the fine line להראות שאנו בטוחים בחזו יתברך שיוציא לצדק משפטנו קולקטיבי. ומכל מקום לא ילבש בראש השנה בגדי רקמה ומשי כי בשאר יום טוב ויהי מורא הדין עליו אלא ילבש בגדים לבנים נעים. You know, in my community now, it's 90% Barimor, Hasidic, all the ladies, white, it's amazing to see. It's just see. Men also, but by ladies, they have a special.
We used to have a few old timers, the Ralph Tower, Joe Saff, used to wear white.
Yeah, I know that.
But not on Rosh Hashanah, but they used to do it on Kippur.
Yeah,
Your brother
yeah,
still
yeah.
does it on Kippur. His brother still today.
Ah, really?
Yeah, he wears it on Kippur.
We used to.
No, by Ashkenazim, everyone wears it.
Kittel, don't wear a kittel? Yeah,
Everyone
no.
wears it.
We used to go to a trade show in Las Vegas. There was one guy, he came on Shabbat, always dressed in white from head to toe.
Look further, go back now to the Ramah.
But what's Rikma?
Rikma means embroidered.
Oh.
So you realize some people have special garments. It says you have to be dressed nicely, but not as fancy as, so to say, a wedding or your Sukkot. Look further now.
Sukkot, you're supposed to have the fancier clothes.
Look now at the Ramah. Guys, look at the Ramah, and if you can do it, do it. ויש נוהגים לטבול, I'm going back to שולחן ערוך. שולחן ערוך told us, מחפשים ומסתפקים בערב ראש השנה, ויש נוהגים לטבול בערב ראש השנה משום קרב. Many people, I mean, in my neighborhood, it's everyone, okay? I used to go always, but I got some divided twice, and the doctor says to me, don't stop going to the mikveh.
You have to go to the ocean if you want to go.
I got the ocean,
I used to go to the ocean, but also it can't overwhelming for me. I have to stop going.
right, but
Waves and all this stuff.
ערב ראש השנה ויום כיפור, ויש נוהגים,
Since my son-in-law bought me the portion of Baila, they built a private mikveh.
וואו,
So he bought me it's membership only. So he bought me a membership for whatever it was, my birthday or something. So they have a chat. So they're allowing outsiders, non-members in today from, I don't know, 1:30 to 3:30, it's $50 if you want. Everyone's going crazy. I signed up for personal, like, so this, last night the phone blew up because the members didn't want.
Yeah, they don't want the interlopers.
You get
Strangers.
You get manicures, pedicures.
I never went yet, so I'm gonna go now. Now I got
In Borough Park, the
George and
real,
I went during COVID.
in Borough
the
Park,
ocean,
in Borough Park, the real wealthy, real private. The wives of the
Cham Baruch alav shalom. Guys wanted to build it, he wouldn't let them. He said, who's gonna check it for the women, not the men? Who's the women? If it's kosher or not kosher, you have to.
But we have in our neighborhood, you have people have private mikveh. I mean, you spent already $2 million on your house. There's no-
McVeigh basketball court, McVeigh tennis
or
court.
tennis court, okay. Now look, ויש מקומות נוהגים ללך על הקברות. Almost every Ashkenazi European guys, either today or from now till Kippur, goes to visit the graves of their parents. And the grand- it's very moving. I mean, forget about the cemetery, but you know, you come and it's basically what you have is not so much the visit. ולהרבות שם בתחינות, ונותנים שם צדקה לעניים. So look at the Mishnah Berurah, this Mishnah Berurah applies to each one of us. הקברות. לבית הקברות הוא מקום מנוחת הצדיקים. והתפילה מתקבלה שם יותר because of the place. Listen carefully now. אך אל ישים מגמתו נגד המתים. You never pray to the dead. You never pray to the dead. This is not Judaism. אך יבקש מהשם יתברך שייתן עליו רחמים בזכות הצדיקים. You are in a good holy place. In the merit of them, Hashem should listen. Very often, people, you know.
Or you can ask the Sadiqim to pray on your behalf.
Okay.
They say they bring that down also.
ויקיף הקברות, וייתן צדקה קודם שיאמר התחילות. This is what he says at the end. When he says at the end, it's very Kabbalistic. ואין לילך על קבר אחד שתי פעמים ביום אחד. Okay. What?
It doesn't happen, but I never
Yes.
heard that.
You should not visit the same grave twice in the same day.
Yeah.
You know, let's
Is
all.
that because we don't do twos?
Wherever.
No, I'm saying because the Gemara, you don't do things in pairs.
The Gemara, but the Gemara in Pesachim doesn't mention it.
No.
This is really Kabbalah. Open now Gemara Rosh Hashanah. Open now Gemara Rosh Hashanah. Guys, remember, each one of us, we look together. Each one of us is looking always, especially in America, you're looking always for magic, something very quick fix.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Quick fix.
It's called instant gratification.
Look, I just want to tell you, there is a rabbi in Israel, Larry, all the religious ideas, but he's Be'emet Talmid Chacham. Anyway, he spoke last weekend in a neighborhood in New Jersey. He spoke 5 times. He's the one I told you that when we met him, he said, this suit is the suit I wore on Simchat Torah. I didn't take it off for 5 months. You know why? I hugged so many soldiers. No, he says I gave it to him clearly, obviously, but for me, this is a talit. Anyway, it's Mama Shulman. You know, and obviously people are asking him, Rabbi, what's going on? I mean, I don't know, but I can tell you one thing. He really gets thousands of phone calls from. Says many people to call me are not non-religious Israelis, non-religious soldiers. People, we don't hear about it because the media doesn't want to.
Right, they don't want to
Because they don't want to publicize it. Many people are asking the basic question: what is going on? I mean, remember, this is the state of Israel. The Shitz Micha, whatever, all this rhetoric. It's the opposite. I mean, okay? The answer is it's a gift Hashem gave the Jewish people. Judaism flourishes in Israel, but there is a price tag. The price tag is our behavior. Let's look what the Gemara is suggesting. Remember, it's easy. I mean, I'm using an example only. I read this week the fellow Erev Kippur. He decided from all the decisions, he's going to say Asher Yatzar B'Chavana. I was reading it. I was smiling to myself. Someone told him, okay, it's good for a week, 2 weeks. What is Asher Yatzar?
It's like nothing.
Anyway, he kept it a year. And he says, my life changed. You realize it's not Asher Yatzar. The minute you say, I mean, I was learning with my class yesterday the meaning of Asher Yatzar.
Yeah.
If you say it once a week, the Kavanah, basically you're saying, I'm a machine, right? And unlike your car that you have to service from time to time, unlike your computer that you have to charge from time to time, what? Our bodies, somehow, can you imagine the heart is a machine that you give it the day you are born?
24/7.
24/7 for 99 years, but who manufactures it? Guys, if one of the vessels stops for a second,
Shah Achat.
Shah Achat, this is a Shah, you realize that means Shah,
Yeah.
60 minutes.
Means-
Shah is a short time. If you have a concept, I'm using an example. The guy said, when I took it upon myself, people were laughing at me. But by the end of the year, since I really kept it, I realized that this is my father, Alav Shalom, spoke once to a group of young female students. I think it was Hebrew U, but those who came to the lecture said, they're not religious, but they're interested in the lecture. He spoke afterwards. Some of them came to him and says, listen, we cannot change overnight. Tell us one thing that we can take upon ourselves. One. So first, he was trying, I guess. He said, how about keeping the Friday night, whatever, they cannot find. He said, how about saying once a day, Sha'akol with a Kavanah. Once a day. It's not a big deal. Sha'akol. But here's the point, Sha'akol. At Boreh Priya, it's Boreh Memzunot. Anyway, half a year later, he spoke to them again, and some of them said, we are on the way to become religious because of the Sha'akol. Why? Remember, we see coffee, so it's basically the coffee.
Right.
Okay, I cannot drink without Sha'akol. If a person would sincerely say Sha'akol, your blood pressure will go down, yes, the stress that you have goes down. You're not getting angry as much to people. If you are late, Sha'akol, you have to go again. If you tell young kids that it's too much.
Asher Yatzar is really a special prayer for people over 60.
He's right also. Nothing like. I had a fellow, Alav Shalom, in life for many years. So I came to visit him. He had an operation on the gallbladder at that time. He says to me, I never said Asher Yatzar till I had the operation. He said, do you know what it means? You can go free to the bathroom. I don't know about you.
It's true. Anybody had a
No,
urinary tract infection? Forget about it.
but he had the gallbladder also. So yeah, but this is today, it's easy, the operating, the pain. No, I'm saying, but this is the trick. The trick is to take something meaningful but not big. Because if it's big, it falls up. Look now, let's look to one of the advice the Gemara is giving us. Rosh Hashanah, Daf Yud Zayin Amud Aleph. Yud Zayin Amud Aleph. Since we dealt yesterday with the Gimel Midot, look at the Gemara. Rava Amar, this is 2, 4, 6 lines from the bottom. See 6 lines from the bottom. Rava Amar, Kol HaMa'avir al Midotav, מעבירים לו על כל פשעיו. מה זה מעביר על מידותיו? Look at the Rashi, please. מעביר על מידותיו. Look at my finger. The Rashi מעביר על מידותיו. Can I have it right? מעביר על מידותיו, says Rashi, שאינו מדקדק למדוד מידה למצערים אותו. As how many times a day, how many times a week, we snap out because we think that this guy sometimes is intentionally obnoxious, disrespectful, a person that has the ability to forgive. Umaniach midotav ve'olech lo. You hear this? So kol ha'ma'avir al midotav, guys. We are human. It's going to happen a million times this coming year again. If you can reduce it in 10%, it happened. Listen, ma'avirim lo al kol pesha'av. אין מידת הדין מדקדקת אחריהם, אלא מנחתם והולך. On Rosh Hashanah, when Hashem is judging, Hashem is saying, take it easy. And the main reason, of course, is, Georgia, how can we snap always if someone is really teasing us, so it's ego.
So you
Yes,
know,
The
100%.
ego,
Full
the
ego.
ego, especially male ego, that's, women are sensitive by nature, whereas it's ego. The ego, if a man is able to reduce his ego, basically is curing most of the problems that we have in life. Look at the Gemara has a story. Please remember that if the Gemara gives you names of Amoraim, two personal stories, it's not a metaphor. Listen to this. I'm reading 4 lines from the bottom. Rav Huna Breder Rav Yoshua Chalash. Every time the Gemara is using the phrase Chalash, means
He's dying.
he's gravely. Al Rav Papa Lishule. May Rav Papa is coming to visit him. Chazieh, as is visiting him, Chalish Le Alma, which means he's dying. On the way out, Amar Lehu, he says to the family member, Savitu Le Zavdeta, which means make the necessary preparation. Remember, today,
Yeah.
because the Chevra Kadisha, their time is to purchase a grave, prepare the tachichim. He says the family is dying. That's of Yitzchak. The Sikh rabbi, Baruch Hashem, became healthy. Have a michsif, listen. Have a michsif Rav Papa Lemechsif. The rabbi who predicted that he is dying was embarrassed to face him. Shema. But the end, they have to meet. Amar lo mai chazita. The rabbi who predicted says to the owner, I know that you were there. What did you see there?
Yeah.
Why are you back here? Amar le'in achi avi, you were 100% right in your prediction. In, yes, achi avi. ואמר לו הקדוש ברוך הוא, הואיל ולא מוקים במילי, since he's always forgiving to anyone that's against him, but we have to give him extra credit because he's always forgiving. שנאמר, נושא עוון ועובר על פשע. Yunis נושא עוון, this is a double language. נושא עוון, okay, so if you, when we learned yesterday the 13 attributes, normally avon is a small avera, but the Gemara learns, Lemi nose avon, who does Hashem forgive to? The over al pesha. So I mean, remember again, we're not angels again, it's impossible. But in the house with the wife, or some kids that are very, or your co-workers, or people that, but this takes work. So realize it's much easier to have all the cute segulot that we have. But the Gemara says here, this is the key. And if you read biographies of real great people out here, this was the nuclear source of whatever they did. In Rabbi, there's a, okay, this is already a bit familiar. And Etziv was the Rosh Hashiva Barosh. As he's getting older, and his son was the chief rabbi of Moscow, he wanted his son to replace him. At every yeshiva, some of the older boys who are really scholars felt that he is not, and they really caused him a lot of problems. And then he didn't become, and they really embarrassed him. Years later, fellow writes to the son that did not become. Says, I have to ask your forgiveness. I was one of the main instigators against you all my life. I suffered from kids, family, and health, and I'm sure that it's because of you. He writes back to you. This is in print. Says, I forgave them, but the embarrassment you did for my father, I cannot. My father was the Rosh Hashiva. You can disagree, you can. This is, there are millions of stories. In today's day and age, today it's easy to publish a book. Many stories of girls come to rabbis, there's all the qualities, but you cannot, or boys, all this. You would think in the past, someone who caused pain, real pain, I mean, obviously the stories are published before the end they go there. Takes time till they find out when they really approach the guy. But this is the Gemara, you realize? I'm telling you from my personal experience, I was a junior, and we had a big test from Zalman Auerbach. And I was learning with my Chavruta, and he didn't understand something, and I'm explaining it again, and I was a stupid teenager. Finally, I told him, "I'm idiot." I mean, I did
Not impatient.
Anyway,
Learning is not always common.
it's mad.
This comes out less in the morning.
Ishma, and he leaves the room, and he went to the bathroom. I thought he came back and realized he was crying. But my ego didn't allow me to say, "Yes, please forgive me." I forgot the story about 15 years ago, which is at least 40 years later. I remember the story. I called my brother in Yerushalayim and I said, "Yitzchak, do me a favor. Find out if he's alive, give me his phone number." I called him up 40 years later.
Wow.
He picks up, "Hello, is this Rabbi Kunstadt?" "Yes." "This is a Zelig Prague." "Yeah. Do you remember?" I didn't have to continue. He says, "Of course I remember."
Oh my goodness.
Never forget. I was shaking. Well, of course I remember. And of course he was laughing. I says, "Don't laugh. Please say that you forgive me." Baruch Hashem, no, Baruch Hashem. I remember it, yes?
Yeah.
The person didn't remember.
No, think for a second. Very often, we don't mean it, but we did it. I mean, guys, there's nothing wrong in tonight before you go to shul to take your wife or the kiss her hand or give her a hug. Sincerely say, if it's part of the protocol, it's meaningless. But to say, as I told you a million times, from Zalman Auerbach's wife died, the body is on a stretcher. The funeral, tens of thousands, and he stands up and he says, "It's a customary to ask forgiveness, but God is my witness at 55 years. Wait, everyone. You have to read how Rabbi Adis writes. Rabbi Adis was a student, says everyone started to shiver. Anyway, but the end of the week, his disciple, Rabbi Nebenzahl, real disciple, is the chief rabbi of the old city, says to his students, "Do you think the rabbi and his wife agreed on everything?" Of course not. But here's the but. I used it yesterday in the class, everyone's laughing. I told the girl, "What does your mother drive?" She says, "Jeep Cherokee." Right? What happened? I told her, if tonight, she says to your father, "This is it's 2 years old." Now, there are two ways to approach it. I said, either to say you're always out to spend money. I mean, the minute you did it, it's over, yes. If you say, "I hear you, let's talk about it," says the rabbi to his students, they had disagreements, but it never became me against you. We have an issue. Let's sit and talk about it. Think about it, guys. We're old enough to approach life like this. Because the normal reaction is, especially by your wives, because as years pass by,
And the kids know it.
What?
The kids know it. The kids see it
The
very
kids see
clearly.
it much more than you see.
Yeah.
They can tell you
I
exactly.
know what they used to tell me, "I can't argue because you and mommy are always on the same page."
Okay, no, this is a good tactic to be on the same page. Guys, it's cool. Guys, it's a very special holiday, and yesterday is a very strong reminder how much Hashem loves us, but we have to pay back. What? Yeah.
Rabbi, one of those sobering things you told us, that if we only knew last year Rosh Hashanah, what was gonna happen October 7th. So that's makes it much more sobering this year than ever. I have not been so impacted by that statement. So therefore, who knows?
It's Hashem fighting everyone. My sister says to me, "For me, it's a Larry, it's Kol Shanim Rabot, K'diva v'Chadashah.
Good gebench, sure, Rabbi Prague.
Wonderful thing from Israel, from our families, ourselves.
Are you going to be home Are you going to be in the house later?
Yeah.
Larry, all the best to you and your family.
A good Gaben Shiur for everybody, really. And thank you again for everything. We should have a year of health and happiness and peace.
Amen, amen,
Larry,
amen.
And really, we should, because then next year again at this time, we should be all learning together.
Larry, you gave us a nice mix to our class. Thank you.
Oh, you did, well, you don't know what you've done in so many ways. Please,
Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. Should
really
continue
great.
learning with happiness, yeah. But, again, to remember, we are learning all these remarks, nasty remarks, yes. As I ask forgiveness if I ever, Joseph, say, sometimes I snap. I'm wrong every time. And I
Some people deserve it.
Sound like my teacher.
That's the best line.
Sound like my teacher.
No, but this is the Gemara.
No, I didn't say it.
Charge you.
I don't mind mine.
I meant to say love, so everything is in
You want your family healthy and
Amen,
happy.
amen.
Last time in my class, I have an old man in a wheelchair. Sitting. Yesterday when I saw him, באמת, from time to time he's asking me simply and he really listens. He really doesn't understand. I have an old man in my Zoom class in Daf Yomi. באמת, sometimes.
It holds up the progress of the class sometimes. You have to
But
keep it
I told myself, it's Erev Rosh Hashanah, and I said, Rabbi Yaakov, let's read slowly, let's share the. But this isn't like this is where those are the challenges.
Yeah.
Did you get an extreme case?
What did he say?
Shalom was in the car, so we
Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
But I'll speak to you later. I should go.
I think there were
You told us the story where he had a little shots and somebody spilled the ink on it.